What's going on, guys? We're going to go through how to improve your grip strength. If you want to get any of your big lifts stronger, we have to first make sure that your grip strength isn't lagging behind and causing you to put the weight down before the actual muscle groups that you're trying to improve tire out. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through 6 different movements to help make sure we cover all different aspects of the wrist and forearm. So number 1 we're going to start with is wrist flexion and extension. Using a dumbbell, you're going to first lay down onto a bench, placing your forearm, making sure it's completely straight and both ends are resting on the bench. You want to avoid from having some momentum and having your elbow lift up off the bench as you try to curl. Nice slow controlled reps, palm is up, get a good grip on the dumbbell, slowly lower your knuckles to the floor, curl up, squeeze, down nice and slow. So that's number 1, wrist flexion. You're then going to turn over and you're going to do wrist extension. This is just the opposite. Again, making sure your elbow and wrist are glued down to the bench, curl up, down, get a stretch at the bottom, and back up to the top. You're going to find most likely that wrist extension is a little bit more difficult than wrist flexion. And this is just simply because you do more daily activities with using wrist flexion. You're grabbing things, carrying groceries, picking up your child, whatever it is, as opposed to being in the extended position through your wrists. So that's number 1 and number 2, wrist flexion, wrist extension. We're going to take it a little bit further and we're going to use this special device. Now you can order one of these devices. It's not a homemade version of this through some of these websites like Iron Mind. There's another one here through Watson, which are actually specifically created for these types of exercises. If you don't have access to those devices, you can just make your own. So here what I've done is I've taken a piece of dowel, I've taken a small dumbbell, this is just 3 pounds, and some floss, and I've tied it to the dowel. So what we're going to do is we're going to first go through ulnar flexion and radial flexion. So with this device, the further your hand is from the weight, the more difficult this is going to be. If I move my hand up to the top, it's going to be quite easy. As I get further away, this becomes significantly more difficult. So what we're going to do is we're first going to go through radial flexion, grabbing onto the end of the device, pointing it straight towards the floor. The key here is not to get momentum through the elbow, so keep your arm locked out straight, but get a stretch at the bottom, and then you're trying to pull it up as high as you can. See if you can get past perpendicular to your arm. Down slow, lift back up and hold. So that's going to be radial flexion. You're then going to turn over the opposite grip, pointing behind you through ulnar flexion, and same idea, lift up as high as you can and hold, and then drop back down slowly towards the floor. Keep these reps under control and don't just speed through them to get the reps. Try to get the result, go nice and slow. The last 2 we're going to do is going to be pronation and supination. So still using this device, what we're going to do is you're going to start in a neutral grip. Make sure you keep your elbow off of your hip so that you're not cheating and you're not twisting as you do this. You're nice and square, shoulders are relaxed, neutral grip, and you're 90 degrees. Don't be too high or too low. We're going to first go through pronation, so we're going to drop our palm down towards the floor, pause, and then lift back up. Nice and slow, controlled reps. Again, make sure we don't just fall and twist the shoulder. Everything else is locked in, under control. Again, the further I am from the weight, the harder this is. It gets a lot easier as you bring the weight closer to your grip. So that's going to be pronation. The last one we're going to do is supination, which is just the opposite. Now we're twisting to the outwards direction, letting the palm face straight up, and then back to neutral. The key again, fight gravity as the weight gets further from the middle of the body, and nice and slow, controlled reps. As well, be careful if you have any pain through these ranges of motion, stop, either lighten the weight or decrease the range. Don't force it. If it's uncomfortable, that's one thing because it's burning. If it's painful, stop, tone it back, decrease the weight or the distance from the weight to make it easier until your wrist gets stronger. What you're gonna do is you're gonna target 3 sets with each of these exercises, and you're gonna aim between 10 to 20 reps. If you get 20 reps, no problem for all 3 sets. Add a little bit of weight next time and see if you can still try to get 20.